Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's Friday the 25th of August. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, as you know by now. And I'm joined today, as always, by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the Twitter handle. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Yeah, I've got the Friday feeling. Celtic are back tomorrow. So I'm very positive today. I woke up in a positive mood, and I just think things are gonna change for the better in the next 6-7 days. I'm gonna go into this last week of the transfer window with a positive outlook. I know the injuries are piling up. I know Brendan Rodgers has been saying stuff in the media, but I'm gonna stay positive just now because I think they'll all work it out in the end.
Things can only get better. Are you on that track, are you?
Yeah, I think so. To be honest, it's it's been a bit of a nightmare in terms of injuries over the past 2-3 weeks or so. They've all piled up, especially in that centre of defence position. But I think no one will know more than Brendan Rodgers what is required. I'm sure he's talking to the board and making it crystal clear that he needs the extra tools required to carry out this job with regards to more centre halves and a couple of other problem areas in which he's found in his first couple of weeks. But yeah, I think things will work themselves out because I think they have to.
No worries. Cool. Guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us as always. And as we say every day, you can help support top quality football journalism, covering the club you love, all for a touch of a button. And it's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And yes, if you enjoy the YouTube videos and you help us provide them for free. I think it's £4 for 4 months, Ryan. That's the deal that's currently on offer, isn't it?
It certainly is £1 a month if you pay for that. My maths is quite terrible, but I know that's right. £4. I remember somebody pulling me up in the comments for that previously, saying good arithmetic, good quick maths, Ryan. But yeah, basically £1 a month for the next 4 months. That'll be you sorted up to around about the November, December mark. So it's a great offer with some really good content on there, and it really does help us it helps us continue to do these free videos and the pre-recorded videos that go out at the weekend. So if you are interested, then please give us a go. I don't think you'll regret it because the content's really good on the website.
Excellent stuff. Now, we want you to get your comments, but we want your questions in the comment section as well. Myself and Ryan will endeavour to answer them as we're moving along. So fire them in there and we'll try and flick a few up and read them. But first and foremost, Ryan, excuse me, the manager and Joe Hart were speaking yesterday, preview the St Johnstone game. And for those of you who maybe never read the comments or haven't seen the comments, I'll read out what the manager said. He had I'll say a kind of choice selection of words, didn't he, Ryan?
Two sides to him, I would say. I think the one that was on the broadcast press conference, and then the other one that was on print media press conference that happened after that. Very interesting comments, I would say, from Brendan Rodgers on the latter. I would say, but I'm sure we'll get on to that.
I'm just about to flick up those comments from the latter, and I'll read them out, guys. This is what he said. Listen, I'm not going to beat about the bush. When I'm talking about the bush, the squad is not as strong. That's the reality. We lost top players and we've got players out for a period of time, so I can't disagree with that. The point I will make is that we will work very, very hard here to try and improve the squad. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes within the recruitment and trying to identify players that fit into the model. That will continue. There is no doubt that we lost a match winner in Jota. We lost Carl Starfelt, who was a regular player in the squad. You then look at Cameron Carter-Vickers being out, a mainstay of the team over the last couple of years. Rio Hatate too. Okay, he's not been quite at the levels that he's been at, but I'm pretty sure he will get to that very soon. So all of a sudden, you're missing players of that quality. So we have to improve, and that is what we will look to do. Now, he said that to the print journalist, Ryan, as you say, excuse me, two different sides to him, basically admitting that the squad, as the briefing headline says, is weaker.
Yeah. Now, I've got to say, I did send you a message last night when I did read these quotes. I was in the gym at the time and I was reading them, so I don't know. Maybe I was a bit worked up and a wee bit reactionary. I did read them again, and they weren't as bad as what I read the first time. But I think it's more just the way in which the comments look when they're on paper or they're on screen. The way that they look just sounds very negative and against what Brendan Rodgers was like the first time, you could say. But at the same time, you can take positives out of it because he is being brutally honest about the squad, and it's a bit of a notice for the board to get into action or spring into action and get him the requirements that he needs in terms of the squad, in terms of bolstering the squad. I still don't think it looks great, but I understand why he said it, and I understand him being honest as well. Sometimes it's better to be honest, but sometimes it's all right to tell a wee white lie as well. It's just all about finding that balance and when it's right. I just think with the week that's with the landscape of the last week or so, hearing those comments was a bit of a further downer for me, but.
So,
It's just one of those things. I get why he said it, but
so,
it needs to be measured.
so you saying you get worked up while you were working out, Ryan? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, either that or I read them too quickly, and then I sent it to a couple of my pals, and we were like, "Is this worrying comments?" And they were like, "No, these are actually quite good comments." And then I read it again and was like, "Aye, it must be okay." But it was one of those. I think maybe the headlines took away from it a wee bit. You're like
Yeah.
automatically you think, "Oh, that's terrible." He's coming out and saying that, but there is more meaning to those quotes. At the same time, you just want it to be positive, especially at the start of the season. I was making that point to you, especially you want it to be optimistic. We're what, three? This will be a fourth game into the season professionally, so you'd still think there was that sort of honeymoon period going on. I know with the Kilmarnock result that isn't the case, and there's been a lot of questions asked over the past week about the performance, about the way in which the team played, but. I think tomorrow's a great chance to put all that right, or at least put some of it right. I think a clean sheet and a good win would go a long way to calming a lot of people down that are maybe getting a bit worked up just now.
I was hoping there would be a new face in the side for tomorrow, Ryan, but what I will say is they've got a week to rectify that. And I think that was I like warning shots over the bow, as they say, and I think that was Brendan, just a wee warning shot to the board that something has to give in terms of the next 7 days, in terms of the transfer window, and they need the quality players in that he has kind of alluded to or hopes to bring in, and he definitely knows that the squad needs freshened up due to injuries and all sorts. But yeah, and I think if they do get some players in, then as I said during the week, that I think most Celtic supporters would be a wee bit more comfortable with that. As you say, the burgeoning injury list has come on top of the Kilmarnock result, and I mean, I'm not hitting any kind of panic button yet, but as you say, when you see those comments in black and white that the squad's weaker, and you kind of say, why has it come to that? Because Celtic were in a real position of strength in the summer, and
That's it.
he talks about the Jota replacement, and as you alluded to, they had quite a few weeks to find a Jota replacement, and I can understand that the swiftness of the Jota deal maybe caught them off guard in left field, but you still had a few weeks to sort of go to work on that. I feel, I'm still waiting on Celtic, as Rodgers said at the very first press conference, let's get to work. I'm still waiting on the manager and the recruitment team getting to work, and I know they've brought in players, but I think every Celtic supporter was just looking for a kind of a step up in quality of player, weren't they, coming into the club as soon as Rodgers was announced, and those videos came out when he said let's get to work, and everybody was really excited. Excuse me. I think that enthusiasm and excitement has been tempered beyond belief.
Yeah.
So, there's a week to remedy it, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you'd like to think that those numbers would come in, those 3 and 4 players that they're talking about, and hopefully they are busy behind the scenes. But yeah, it's been an underwhelming window so far, and I think there's a lot of frustration with the Celtic supporters at the minute. I hesitate to say the word anger because, they've only lost one game. You have to get some kind of perspective on it. And I'm like you, I fully expect Celtic to show some kind of, although Joe Hart wasn't saying that they needed to show a kind of reaction because their levels are always the same. I'll read what Joe Hart said about that in a minute as well. But yeah, I'm expecting something from Celtic tomorrow in terms of
Yeah,
performance on the park.
yeah. Just going back to the transfer sort of business before we talk about the game tomorrow. Just looking at the transfer window as a whole, you would say that Celtic's most exciting signings have been two centre backs. There's not really been any other. I know Yang and Tilio are both exciting wingers, but as much as they're exciting, they're still project players. The other two, Lagerbielke and Nawrowski, both look like first team ready players, whereas you can see the difference in Tilio. Well, you can't really see the difference in Tilio because we've not even seen him play. Seen people writing him off online, like he's not even played a game yet. You can't write off somebody that's. I don't know if you're basing his performance on his press conference or something. I know he's a shy boy, but you can't be writing him off that quickly. And then Yang showed a couple of nice glimpses, but I think he is one for the future as well. Even though he's 21 years old, I think having another left winger, maybe in the form of Luis Palma, will help him if the two of them are fighting out for that one spot. And there's fluidity across the front three, so they can all play in different positions, and I'm sure they'll all get their chance throughout the season. But just going on to the game tomorrow, it's a perfect opportunity. You know, Celtic are back at home. Brendan Rodgers himself said that it feels like longer since Celtic have played at home. It's been 2 weeks, but it's been a very, very long 2 weeks. I feel like a lot has happened with regard to maybe with the lack of transfers, mix that with the injuries, and then the Kilmarnock game. I know the Aberdeen game was a win, but even then it wasn't the greatest performance. So it has been a long sort of 14, 15 days since Celtic have played at home on Flag Day. It's definitely been a while, and yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers is looking forward to maybe getting a wee bit of that home support back, get the feeling of playing at home, maybe freshen up the squad a bit with regard to some of the players coming into the team. And yeah, it's a good opportunity for Celtic to put a lot of smiles back on fans' faces, I think. And if they put in a good performance and a clean sheet, I think the two are so important on Saturday, then I think it'll make a lot of people feel better, especially heading into the Glasgow Derby the week after.
Yep. Now, Joe Hart was also speaking yesterday, and this is what Joe Hart said. Ryan, I think you did the transcript on this one. Joe Hart said that after the Aberdeen game, we are all buying into it, of course, talking about the manager. A top manager, someone who cares deeply about the club, and every idea he's got is to make us better. I think that's a beautiful thing about modern day football. Whereas maybe when I started playing football, it was just about putting the best 11 out and being better than the opposition. But now football has evolved and it's constantly trying to get better and ideas of how you can assert your dominance on the game. The manager's got some amazing ideas and we're buying into them and trying to execute them at the weekend. And he also went on to say this. This is what I found quite interesting, and you'll know because you transcribed it. You've got to respect the noise when you're at a club like this. You'd be disappointed. Yeah, you'd be disappointed if there wasn't noise. We'd be disappointed, but that's the level. We're on the same page, and when I say it's not about the reaction, that's because we're working to our limit the whole time. It's not about sitting back and thinking everything's going to be okay. I say there's not going to be a spike in the reaction because we're constantly working to the highest level that we possibly can. We're constantly taking every single training session to the highest level. The post-match analysis with the coaches, when you're taking time off your legs and you can't be physically outside, you're mentally trying to learn and trying to discuss. That's why I say it's not about a reaction, because I'd like to think it would be impossible to go even harder than we already are. He makes a fair point there, does Joe? That he doesn't think that there needs to be a reaction in terms of tomorrow because he feels it. I think he feels it last week was just a blip, basically, doesn't he? And that they don't have to do anything different. They haven't been doing anything different because training levels are high and we know all that. So I guess, and he's telling us that they're still buying into what the manager is selling, and I guess that's a way of saying that it's taking time to knit together, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got to say that although I've spoke quite openly about Celtic needing a new goalkeeper, and I still think that to be the case. I think Joe Hart's press conference was a breath of fresh air yesterday. The way he answers questions, he's a very confident individual. He's basically did everything in the game that you could possibly do. He's played in international tournaments for both Man City and England. So he has been around the block. He knows the game of football. I like the fact he was talking about how the modern game has changed. You know, when he has been one of the main, he's been a big casualty of the modern game with regard to playing with the ball out at his feet. It was Pep Guardiola that sort of bombed him out of the Man City team, and then Nuno did the same at Spurs, basically saying you won't play because you can't pass with the ball at your feet. You can't pass at the level that I require you to do so. So that he is a real casualty when it comes to talking about the modern game, but he's still saying it in a positive light about how he wants to improve and how he enjoys watching the game flourish and evolve as time goes on. He could easily take a grudge because of that, because of what's transpired in his career, but he doesn't. He keeps an open mind. Although I think Celtic do need a new goalkeeper, it is good to have somebody like Joe Hart around that will probably calm the dressing room down, because he'll have played for teams that they'll be on a bad losing run. I know Man City for the past 10 or so years have been pretty dominant, but before then, before they really got the money, Joe Hart was sort of playing for them when they were mid-table, and he'll know what it's all about. Yeah, I find his press conference quite enlightening yesterday, and everything that he was answering with confidence. I liked the fact that he was basically saying there's not a blip. He's saying we're working hard, it'll just work itself out. I hope that is the case on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I read those words. I was quite buoyed and enthused by them myself, Ryan. And I think you say that you have to listen to him and tell you what he's saying. I'm all for, players and managers signposting things, and a lot of them do that. I know Ange did it. Brendan's kind of doing it as well, and also Joe saying it there. Now, I've started a few comments here, just in general, take a couple of just talk about everything that we've been speaking about during the week and today. James Smith say the truth is Celtic are a club who are kings in their own land. When it comes to ambition, the board don't want to know. Celtic have gone back the way since Ange left. That's from James Smith. Hazel Finn, morning, Hazel, how you doing? She's saying, according to the transfer window, frustrating because Celtic appear to be scrambling at the last minute for players. Danny Boy coming in and saying Celtic be going around in circles all week covering the same issues. Wish the board were as concerned as the Celtic fans. My ball talking about Joe Hart, saying Joe Hart's a clever guy. Fans need to listen to his words, what you were saying there as well. But Francis PC Green coming saying players prove it on the pitch. Words can be fickle. Yeah, and I get all that too. Guys, if you get any questions, throw them in the comment section. We'll try and answer them. But, you're only going by the messages that we were told yesterday from, obviously, Brendan Rodgers and Joe Hart. And I think Brendan Rodgers still has very high hopes of bringing in 2 or 3 players, Ryan, maybe even the 4 that he's alluded to. And it could be a hectic week of transfer activity for Celtic next week.
Yeah, I think Lewis Palmer will be one of them because of the way that he answered the question when it was posed to him to the print media. He's basically saying he has heard of him, but he can't comment any further. Now, when you take that to the answer that he gave with regard to Ryan Fraser, who is on his way to Southampton, it looks like, and Daniel Podence, who's been transfer listed by Wolves, he basically batted those names away. He said nothing at all. He can't say anything at all. But with Lewis Palmer, he's aware of his existence. Therefore, I think there's something in the pipeline. He missed training last night, Lewis Palmer, for his current club. When that happens, usually a move transpires. If you don't want to train, if you're not training, it means you don't want to get injured because a medical's on the way. So you would expect something to be on its way with regard to that move.
I think Greek media are claiming that it could be happening within 24 hours, didn't they? I think some Greek media sources said that it could all go down to the next. The player and his agent are keen to conclude the deal, so we'll see.
I think a great opportunity would be tomorrow if they were to bring him out at half time. If the transfer was completed, talk about a way to sort of G the fans up. If Celtic have played really well in the first half, we got a couple of goals, then they bring on Lewis Palmer, then all of a sudden the mentality has changed and the mood around the place has changed. It's a much more positive ground to be in. I think a lot of people will be excited to be going back to Celtic Park, but having extra things like that, knowing that Lewis Palmer, a new left winger who has goals and assists to his name, even as far back as a week ago, he's been doing it for his current team. I think that'd be quite exciting to behold. Him coming out at half time, or even him being spotted in the crowd would be a real boost for the fans, I would presume.
It'd certainly be a step in the right direction, bringing in players, Ryan, and that might be the first piece of the player jigsaw that we hope comes in maybe tomorrow or next week, depending on how Celtic can conclude a deal for him.
Baptism of fire at Ibrox it'll be. That's absolutely for Luis Palma, because that'll be the first game that he plays, and you would expect if Celtic are spending £3.54 million for a winger, they go straight into the first team. I know Daizen Maeda's defensive qualities are absolutely merited in terms of his pressing game at Ibrox, especially the way he nullifies Tavernier on that side, but you'd be expecting him to make an impact in his first game if Celtic are paying good money for him. So yeah, if it's too late for him to get registered for tomorrow, then his first appearance will likely be at Ibrox. So that'll be an interesting one.
A former Rangers transfer target, no less. Ryan, he might get the treatment there, and that would be, as you say, the baptism of fire. But I wouldn't hesitate in throwing him in and doing that.
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
If he does sign for Celtic, yeah. I mean, looking ahead to tomorrow, Ryan, without giving too much away, because we'll be doing our predicted 11s, or as Aidan used to call them, our XIs, for for the St Johnstone game, which will come out in the newsletter and it'll be available to see on the site tomorrow morning. But any certainties for you there, Ryan, or is it only uncertainty because you're still mulling over your starting 11 in your head?
I think because he's trained the past 11 days, there will be a change at right back. That's all I'm going to say. But I think there will be a change in right back, and people will be quite happy with that change that's going to transpire. If a certain name has been back in training for 10, 11 days, then I don't think there's any risk in throwing him back in, especially a game against St Johnstone. So yeah, I think a certain right back from Canada will be making his return tomorrow.
You just narrowed that field right down there, Ryan. That's fair.
I don't think we've got any other right backs from Canada. Unless there's a signing target that I just do not know about that's coming through the door. Yeah, I think there will be a change at right back. That's all I'm going to say. And
would you start Yang?
Yeah,
because without giving too much away, I think Yang will be in my starting lineup. So there you go.
I realised that I said that Yang is a bit of a project player, and some people in the comments are saying he can't be a project. I think most of Celtic signings are going to be project players, and that doesn't mean anything to do with their age. I think it just means their profile and what Celtic can do. Celtic can offer that European platform for a player. They can play well and then move on to maybe not a better team, but a better league, a top 5 league, if they do well. Or if they do well and want to stay, then Celtic have got a good player for the long term. But Celtic offers a great platform for these players coming from especially Asia and far off countries to get that exposure in a better league and a better in European football as well. So yeah, in terms of Yang starting tomorrow, I would definitely start Yang tomorrow. I think he's been a bright spark whenever he's came on the park. Especially at home. I would love to see him. I'd love to see him at home with the freedom of Celtic Park to just run into spaces, because he looks like an absolute live wire. If he was to start tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored.
Yep. A few people agreeing with the selection of Yang. I will a couple of starred comments here. I'll throw them up. Ryan, there's a question for you as well. Pete McGee comes in. Morning, Pete McGee, who gave us another slap in the wrist for timekeeping. We were more or less bang on time, Pete. Come on. You've got to prepare for these things as we do. We like to come on and prepare thoroughly and not just talk rubbish. But there you go. Some people accuse of that anyway. But Yang must start. No binder for Pete McGee. Totally agree, Pete. I think Yang must start. Appreciate that. Jerry Da says Brendan Rodgers got to get decent minutes into Yang and Kwon. And Dennis Jameson, morning Dennis, I think Yang will start. He's been a shining light, at least he's trying. Manager said that Celtic looked brighter when he came on it for Rugby Park last week, and I got a bit annoyed and I asked him how close he was to starting, because I wanted him to start on it, and I was a bit annoyed because I thought he could at least give him 45 minutes as well when you're trying to rescue the tie, and you could have took either of the wingers off, Maeda or Abada, because neither of them were contributing much. Thomas Gallagher's got a question for you, Ryan. What about Tomoki Awati at right back?
Nah, I'd rather play players in their
not having
positions,
it.
to be honest. I'd like to see him as a defensive midfielder because I think some of the opinions of Tomoki Iwata have been very, very harsh. He's not really done much. He's not did much wrong since he's joined Celtic. He had that slip against. I know there was that mix up between Iwata and Ralston in the St Mirren game last season. And I think a lot of people remember that. I remember he slipped in that game as well,
Yeah.
which led to, I think it was Curtis Main having a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Joe Hart saved it. But yeah, apart from that, I thought he was pretty much flawless. He gave us a bit of strength and muscle in the middle of the park. I think I'd like to see him more in his preferred position, which is a holding midfielder, maybe as a number 8. But it's all up to what Brendan Rodgers sees him as, and at the moment he's not breaking into the team. So
Yeah,
you just wonder where he stands in the pecking order.
of course. Lots of people agreeing with us here, Ryan. So we'll just, I'll just throw up a couple more comments. Brian McGinlay, Yang must get a start tomorrow. Totally, he has to. Yang, yes, says Danny Boy. And Pete
I think he will.
McGee, I forgive you, Tony and Ryan. Thank you very much. That's very kind, Pete. We appreciate that. We go as 10ish. We always say 10ish, don't we? There you go.
It's like Sean Connery playing at Wimbledon.
Yes, exactly. So, yep. Any other players coming in, Ryan? Are you saying that? Are we going with the central defensive pairing of Lagerbielke and Scales because Celtic have to?
I think he's got to be, unless you play Iwata there. I know it's all about what. I'm not really sure about the Stevie May still plays for St Johnstone, I'm sure, so he'll provide a physical presence up top for St Johnstone. You would assume. So I think he plays centre backs in the centre back position. I don't like putting players in positions that they're not immediately comfortable with, because I think it affects the whole team and affects the mentality and the fluidity of the team. So I'd put Liam Scales at centre half alongside Lagerbielke. Lagerbielke will feel like a senior player now because he's the only one left, basically. Yeah, but do you know what? That might be a positive for him,
Yeah, of
because
course.
he would have. You look at the optics that he would have had when he's coming into Celtic. He would have seen in front of him. He knows that Starfelt's away. That's why he's coming in. So he knows he's at least third choice. But he's got Cameron Carter-Vickers and Mike Nawrocki in front of him. Now all of a sudden, the two that are in front of him are injured. Therefore, now he's the first choice. I'd now say that Lagerbielke is the first choice centre half at the club,
He's
just at this present moment. I thought Brendan Rodgers' comments about him were quite funny yesterday. The two of them actually spoke really highly of Lagerbielke yesterday.
Yeah.
Joe Hart says that he's a smiley guy. He smiles at training, but once he passes that red light, or he passes the white line, he changes and he becomes this battle hardened defender, which is absolutely brilliant. And then Brendan Rodgers was saying he looks a lot younger than what he is. He's got a bit of a baby face. He was saying, but he says he's got absolutely no doubt that he's going to be an excellent player for Celtic, and he's looking forward to developing him further. That's what you like to hear, because there's been a lot of question marks about signings that have came in over the past 2 months or so. But the fact that Brendan Rodgers came out and said that, put it on record to say this guy is going to be excellent for Celtic, that's I think that's high praise from a manager.
Steve McGrory comes in with a wee joke. Celtic central defence tomorrow will remind him of a drink. Lager and Liam, he'll get his coat. I'll leave it up to the commenters to decide on that one, Steve. But regular contributor Steve, how you doing? Nice wee bit of whimsical there from Steve. But yeah, I think that's Celtic's hands forced on that one, and it's going to be Lagerbielke and Liam Scales. So we just hope that they step up to the plate tomorrow. And I've no qualms about them doing that. To be honest, it's not ideal, but that is where Celtic are at the minute, until maybe a defensive reinforcement comes in, maybe a short term one over the transfer window. But it's horrendous injury list that Celtic have got. But hey, well, there you go. Plunge McNugget likes it. Lager and Liam. There you go, Steve. So you're off the hook on that one. Commenters seem to like your jokes, so there you have it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a makeshift patchwork Celtic team possibly tomorrow. But I'm still very confident that Celtic can get the job done, and I think, like you, I think the Canadian right back might make an appearance as well. And as you say, if he's been training for that length of time, then I don't think you'd have any qualms about letting him loose against St Johnstone, certainly, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and here's a question: does he play at right back though? That's the question, because he has played as a centre back before and a back three. I don't know if Rodgers maybe wants to try that. He might go down that route in time where he plays free at the back. It'd be great to have three central defenders fit at the one time. To be fair,
Yeah,
but
that would,
if
we can only dream
that's
of
the
that.
thing. I think you can only play a back three if you've got players in reserve that can come in and play as well. I think Celtic have got three defenders all in terms of central defenders. So
I think if you're going to go with Lager, Bielka, and Scales for Ibrox, then the two of them have got to play together tomorrow, haven't they?
mhm.
To develop some kind of understanding under the proviso that, okay, you might try and bring in a defender ahead of the Ibrox game or ahead of the window shutting, but I think in your head, if you're thinking, okay, I might have to go with them, because there's no guarantee they'll bring in a first team ready defender for Ibrox, because time's of the essence, as you said during the week. So I would certainly give the nod to those two and see where it takes them and let them develop an understanding between now and Ibrox, if that is to be the case with Johnston. But I think there's a reassurance if Johnston comes back as well, isn't there? There's that extra comfort blanket too with him coming back into the team. So things are looking up in that sense, Ryan. If that is the case tomorrow, a wee bit more positive outlook on it. Midfield, it's all up for, as Brian Moore famously said when Michael Thomas ran through, it's all up for grabs now in the midfield. And speaking of midfielders, Matt O'Reilly, allegedly the subject of a bid from Bologna, booted into touch. That's all I'm going to say about that, Ryan. And it'll keep
They can't afford Matt O'Reilly.
it will keep getting booted into touch. Anybody hands off Matt O'Reilly. End of argument. Celtic shouldn't entertain bids at all for Matt O'Reilly in this window. Shouldn't entertain bids at all for Rio Hatate in this window. Wrote about that the other day. That's my thoughts. Matt O'Reilly, the sign says, don't walk. He ain't walking. Bologna can do one, as they say, jog on. Yeah, whatever the Italian phrase for jog on is, they can all jog on, but Bologna can certainly do one, and that's the end of that matter. But because I'm not interested in Bologna or any other club for that matter trying to take Matt O'Reilly at this moment in time.
Especially at this point as well. I would be like this. I would be like this anyway. My stance would be like this anyway. I think he's got another season or two in him before we need to start entertaining big bids for the likes of Matt O'Reilly. But I think he's been Celtic's best player so far in the 3 games this season. I think he was probably by far the best midfielder that was playing the other day in terms of between him, Holm, and Cal McGregor. I thought he was the one that was trying to make things happen. I know he missed that really, really big chance in the first half, but he didn't get another chance to redeem himself. So the fact that would have played on his mind for the rest of the game, that opportunity. I think he's such an important player for the team. We've only seen a glimpse of how good Matt O'Reilly can be. I think he's better than Bologna at this point already. I know Serie A is a good league; it's a good top 5 league in the world. But I think he'll be setting his aspirations higher than Bologna. I know it was good for players like Aaron Hickey, and I think is Ferguson at Bologna as well. I believe. I know
Yes,
Hickey moved
Lewis
to
Ferguson. Yeah, he was.
Hickey moved to Brentford, but he was at Bologna before, and they got Ferguson, obviously, who's been doing a good job for them. But I think his stock's higher than Bologna, if I'm being perfectly honest. If you were saying an Italian club for Matt O'Reilly to go to from this point, I don't know. You don't want to throw too big a name out there, but I think you need bigger than Bologna, or a team that's maybe a bit more affluent than Bologna. I think his stock is higher than that. I think he will go to a better club than that in a couple of years' time. But he just needs to do the business on the park for Celtic. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him on Saturday. I'm looking forward to seeing him in person on Saturday as well, because I've watched him on the TV a couple of times. I know what he brings to the team, but I'm going to keep a close eye on him tomorrow and see exactly what he does when he's moving about the park, to see the changes. The same for Kyogo, because I think the two of them have got a really good partnership and understanding. One makes the run and the other stays back and plays that playmaker role. So hopefully that comes to fruition again tomorrow. But I sense another big performance coming from Matt O'Reilly, and then hopefully he can take that into Ibrox, because I think if he was to turn it on at Ibrox and put in a great performance, I think that would be the breakout game in his career.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, Ibrox will take care of itself. First and foremost, we'll concentrate on St Johnstone. But if Celtic entertain any offers from Matt O'Reilly, I'm giving up, says Pete McGee. Dennis Jameson saying give Matt a new deal. And yeah, no, I just think tomorrow, big chance for Celtic to really kind of not backlash or reaction type, as Joe Hart was saying, but just to sort of give everybody that positive and feel good factor going into Ibrox in the back of a decent victory. We would hope, Ryan, certainly, and a performance that kind of puts a smile back in everybody's faces, because it's not been a great week in terms of Celtic. There's been worse weeks. You never lived through. You never lived through the 90s. You weren't there, man.
I lived through 2020. I think that's good enough.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll get it into some kind of perspective. And it is a burgeoning injury list, lots of key players out, but that's why you've got a big squad, and hopefully Celtic can enhance that squad in the coming days that are left in the window. 7 days, a week today, that the January window, January, there you go, the August window closes. Ryan, I expect the two of us to be busy next week doing briefings a go at some point during the day. Well, we'd like to think
I hope that I can source out some football experts from around the world, because that'll then mean that Celtic have got to business and got down to business and get 3 or 4 players. I want to be kept busy. I want to be writing about transfers and the latest developments, because at the end of the day, I support my team. I want my team to be doing well, and if they're signing players, good players from around the world, that can really improve the first team, then that's a good job from them, and it keeps me busy. So can't complain. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, basically, Celtic.
Indeed. Now, I wanted to flag this up as well. On the website today, you're talking about feel-good factor. There's an article about the Kano Foundation, and the Kano Foundation are welcoming the 15,000 kids to Celtic Park tomorrow. Here's the link to the article that's on the website. Have a read at that, guys. That'll put a smile on your face, because this is everything that Celtic is all about, Ryan. 15,000 kid, the Kano Foundation started in 2010-11, and their stated aim, as they say, is giving kids a match-day experience they will never forget by providing them with a modern-day lift over the turnstiles. And so far, 15,000 kids have been taken to Celtic Park to experience that wonderful lifetime experience, and they get goodie bags, scarves, and they just have a wonderful day. And it's all done by volunteers, and it's paid for by donations from Celtic supporters. And I just think that they do wonderful work. It's a wonderful charity, and it's a wonderful idea. And the sight of 150 kids at these games that they get access to, 150 tickets they get access to, and since 2010-11, that's 15,000 kids. The 15,000 kid is going to be on the park on Saturday to get a cheer, hopefully from the supporters, and I just think it's wonderful, and big up to them. And we'll put something on the website there, and one of the volunteers said it's just worth it to see the smile on the kids' faces, Ryan, and that for me is what a club like Celtic should be and always will be all about. And big up to those at the Kano Foundation. A wee clap for them. Read the article, guys. It'll put a smile on your face in a week when maybe you all need it.
Yeah, it's one of the that foundation and the work that they do with Celtic is just incredible. It's amazing to see all those young children at the game. They make an atmosphere as well. Whenever you get a particularly rowdy bunch of children, they become like an extension of the singing section. It's absolutely brilliant, the dynamic that goes on there, and sometimes even the other fan groups, they sing along with them, and it creates a really good sort of balance and a great atmosphere in the stadium. So yeah, 15,000 is an incredible landmark to achieve, and here's to the next 15,000 for them for sure. It's They get a goodie bag, a ticket to the game, and a hot meal as well, and that's all. It all transpires through volunteers, so that's absolutely incredible. Some of the quotes on that were really great, and it's great to see club legends like Tom Boyd, who's a patron of the charity as well, and of the foundation. He's so involved in it too. It does make you proud that Celtic are getting involved with foundations and charities like that, and they're not losing their roots, because that's how Celtic were founded. Celtic were founded in order to help people, and the fact that they're still helping people to this day, it gives you a bit of hope in what is a very weird world at the moment, with plenty of stuff happening. It's definitely a feel good story. So here's to the next 15,000.
Yeah, and the Celtic Way developed a great relationship with both the Kano Foundation and the Celtic Foundation, and we like to every now and again put stuff up on the website and just highlight the wonderful work that they're doing. So we say big up to them, and well done for everything that they do. As we say, it's everything that Celtic Football Club is all about, and can't say praise them enough. All the volunteers and all the people that donate money to these causes, it's so worthwhile. And you'll see those kids on Saturday, and you'll know it means the world to them to be at a Celtic match. So hope they all enjoy the experience. And as I say, have a look at the article on the website. I'll put it in the comment section there. You'll enjoy it. It'll make you smile. But now, Ryan, I guess we're going to have to do our predictions for tomorrow before we go. Do you want to go first or second, sir?
I'll let you go first.
Let me go first. Okay. I think because St Johnstone have had a poor start to their season as well, I'm going to say 4-0, Ryan, to
4-0.
Celtic, with a bit of a rip-roaring, free-scoring, never boring kind of performance from the Glasgow Celtic. I'll say that, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go for the same. I did predict 4-0 yesterday when I was speaking to my pals. So if you want me to go one further, I'll go 5.
You can have 4-0 as well. We can both agree that we think it's 4-0. If you want 4-0, we can take 4-0 as well.
Okay, I'll go for 4. Do you know, I'll take into account that Celtic haven't been playing great recently. So 4-0 and a clean sheet. I'll enjoy the clean sheet just as much as the 4 goals if that does turn out to be the case.
Lager and Liam at the back, clean sheet.
Liam, yep.
So yeah, cheers for that, Steve. I think it'll be 4-0, says Stephen Kelly. Sean Buist comes in 5-0. Hazel Finn saying 3-1. Andrew Galea, we should score 5. There you go. Will McMillan 5-0. Aussie, a bit closer, 2-1 late winner. Don't think the old Hart could take that, could it? Murphy Alexander 1-0, he's saying as well. 2-1, Alan Woods saying Celtic absolute struggle. Selling shot 3-0. Jerry O'Rourke 5-0 to Celtic for him. 5-0 Celtic for Jerry Smith. Well, most of them are saying that Celtic will win. Jamie Young saying 1-0. Paul Andrew Martin saying 3-1 with a bit of a sweat because Celtic seem a tad discombobulated. There's the word of the programme, discombobulated. Ryan, Rich Raff saying 2 each. Natalie McMullen 3-0. Cardiff Carroll 5-2. Most people agree that the Celtic will win, and St Johnstone to score against a I don't know what that means, a look defence, but saying 3-1 says Plunge McNugget.
I think against a different look defence, a changed look.
Okay, a changed look defence. Okay, we'll go with that. Thank you, Ryan, for that. 3 points will do it for me, says James Larkin. Yep, very much so. And Ben coming in. So there's Ben coming in, optimistic, 6-1 to Celtic. There you go.
And someone's even more optimistic.
8-2, yeah.
I noticed he was in the comments earlier. His team's doing pretty well down south. 8-2. That's a scoreline that they could probably hit against a couple of the teams. Haven't watched them this season, but it'll be interesting to see how they do in the Champions League this season as well.
Pablo 67, 6-1. Diaz 4-0. David Ferguson 4-0. We'll paper over the cracks that need fixing, he says. And Brown Warrior and Alastair 5-0. Derek Smith 7-0. Kyogo hat-trick. And
Take
John
that.
Doherty saying 4-0 Celtic. Most people thinking Celtic will win, some more easily than others, some saying it might be a struggle. But guys, it's always result dependent, and I say it, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us. Almost 600 people joining us live, Ryan, which is great. We really enjoy it. We try and read out as many comments as we can as we're going along. We can't do this without you. And we always ask you at the beginning and the end of every broadcast to help us and subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love in the process. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Costs you £4 for 4 months. And it's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Have a wonderful weekend. Ryan, thank you very much. I think you're going along tomorrow, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. But we'll provide videos both before and after the game as well. So yeah, just keep an eye on the YouTube channel before and after the game, and we'll bring some extra videos to you from the game.
Yeah, Pete will be on tomorrow, and we will see you Monday around tennis. But we'll be on tomorrow to have an after-match debrief of the events at Celtic Park against St Johnstone, third game of the season. If you're going, look out for the Kano kids. Give them a wave, give them a cheer, and have a good one. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on Friday. Guys, thank you. And we shall see you tomorrow in the aftermatch. Hopefully, celebrate another 3 points, Ryan.
Yep.
Take care.